Alright, I think we might be live.
Woo-hoo.
Maybe. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another edition of Asphalt Nomads Live with Mike and Katy, with Katy and Mike. So let's just let's make sure that we are in fact streaming.
Oh yeah, no, we're totally live.
We are totally live.
That's
that
good.
is good. All right, great. So, hope if you're out there in the chat, I hope that you can, say hi. As always, or as the last two times, let us know if you're working on your own conversion. Ask us any questions you have. If you're thinking about doing your own conversion, or if you've started one, maybe you're stuck on something, definitely let us know. And hello, Eric, you are first.
So where are we today? We are in Central Florida.
Still. Yes.
It's been an ongoing situation. So yeah, we're still here.
Yeah. And Eric, I know you're nearby. I know you're in Florida. You're in Central Florida too, I think. But we have we have encountered some very minor financial obstacles. We were going to be on the road today to head to South Carolina to visit to see the eclipse, and we've had to sort of postpone that trip.
Well, there's no postponing. The eclipse is happening whether or not we're going to be
exactly. We will miss the total eclipse.
Well, yeah, we'll have a partial, so it'll be fine. We'll go to the beach. It'll be good. Yeah.
It doesn't look like the bus. It's the bed back there.
Yeah, no, it
the
is.
half-finished bathroom. It's definitely our bus.
Oh, so you're near Altamont? That's cool. We actually lived in Altamont for a little while and liked it a lot.
We did for about a year. We actually lived in Altamont. And we lived in like the heart of the traffic. We lived
like right by the mall and
right next to the mall and Cranes Roost Park.
Yeah.
So I feel for you for that afternoon traffic. Anthony Tanner, welcome to the chat. We don't have much scripted for today. There are a few things that we want to talk about and we want to show you. But for the most part, just like last time, definitely let us know if you have your own channel. Let us know. We'll plug you. We'll show other people your channel. And if you have a project, if you're working on a conversion of your own, if you're working on a bus or whether it's a transit bus or a school bus or anything like that, let us know and tell us where you're at with your progress. We have right now. I'm making a mental note to stop saying I'm trying.
Good luck.
I'm trying.
It's a good effort.
So it'll get better as we go along. So basically we were planning on going to see the eclipse. This was our plan, to leave today and make it all the way to South Carolina.
Yeah.
Near the I-95 interchange. I'm not sure what the interchange is.
Light that's falling.
And so we had to change our plans. But if you are looking, by the way, I went out this morning. Katy, you didn't know this. I went out this morning to try and find eclipse sunglasses.
The Seminole County Library is handing them out, but they do it tomorrow.
Right.
Starting at 9.
And so they're doing it on the day of.
Yeah. So there's gonna be a madhouse if you're close to any of the Seminole County libraries.
It's already a madhouse. So if you have not found your eclipse glasses, it might be hard for you to get some at this point. I was at the 7-Eleven earlier today. The phone was ringing off the hook.
Asking about eclipse glasses?
Yeah, the lady working at the counter was just refusing to answer the phone, and she's like, everybody's calling, asking for this eclipse glasses. We ran out 3 days ago.
Oh, man.
And all these people think they can get glasses the day before. And that included me, because I hoped to get some today. And
I'm
that
going to hit
didn't.
up the library tomorrow. So.
Yeah, you hit the library?
Yeah.
I know that in Chicago they're handing them out to everyone, and so yeah, it's going to be a thing, right?
Yeah.
So Monday, you know, skip work, skip school, whatever you're doing, go see the eclipse.
Yeah.
If you can't drive to the path of the total eclipse, definitely at least go see what you can from wherever you're at.
Should be fun.
But there is a great TED Talk, which I think everybody should watch, on why the eclipse is so important, why everybody should see it, and it's on YouTube. It's why you should not miss the eclipse or something like that. I'll find the link, but definitely try to get there. And yeah, traffic along I-95 especially. I can only imagine that there will be tons of people.
Oh, it's gonna be a mess.
Coming from the north and the south, all of them heading towards Georgia and South Carolina.
It's gonna be a hot mess.
It's gonna be bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right, we did get a question about the roof insulation and the walls. So, I guess moving on from the eclipse. So for the roof, we did we pulled the metal sheeting down that came in the bus, and then we pulled down the old insulation, which was a fiberglass insulation, because it was disgusting for our bus. And we used the thick, like, polystyrene insulation sheets and just kind of popped them up in sections to go along the curve. We didn't fill anything in the gaps, and we really should have. So the roof insulation is not stellar. The wall insulation, we did the same thing, but we were able to use a thicker polystyrene insulation, and I think that we did actually fill in with some of the foam.
We also used the
expanding foam in a can.
Yeah, the great stuff.
Yeah.
Expanding foam, which comes in a spray can, and we used a combination of types. We used the regular insulation. We also used the low pressure spray insulation, which is it's marketed as for windows or window frames and door frames,
like gaps and cracks, I think.
And we use both of them. There's the only difference between the two is how much pressure they use to expand. Definitely, I suggest if you're doing if it is a confined space, if you're going to spray it in between the sheets of metal, to use the low pressure one. It'll expand just as much as the normal one, but you don't. If you use the spray insulation, the spray foam, expanding foam type, it can sort of push the metal out of you might end up with a bulge on the metal if you're not careful. And so, but yeah, the rigid, most of what we did on the ceiling is actually all that we did in the ceiling is the rigid sort of polystyrene.
Polystyrene, pretty sure.
Yeah.
I think if we were going to do it again, and we've talked about this before, we would not do the same thing twice. We'd use the actual proper spray-in insulation. That does a way better job, and it's more costly, which is why we didn't do it, but I think it would have been worth it. So, because our roof insulation is not stellar. Can you go back to the chat?
Yeah.
Maybe. So, alright, we've got a hello from California. Hi. And a looks like rain during the eclipse. Yeah, maybe. Hopefully not on the coast. So we'll double check and see, but,
Yeah, we might get hit with rain. Because it's Florida.
It's Florida and it's in the afternoon. And
yeah. So, So, Big Tiny Life. I imagine this is Steve Ross. Is this your channel? Big Tiny Life?
Ooh.
And in the meantime, I just wanted to look at, show you some of the pictures of our conversion that we have on our website. And these are...
I don't think you transitioned.
There you go. This was us. This is what the bus looked like on the inside. This is on our website, asphaltnomads.com, and you can go through all the posts. There's about a year worth of posts going back to how we converted the bus, and these are the ceiling panels that we're talking about. There were about, I want to say something like 15 or 16 panels across the entire ceiling.
Something like that, yeah.
And we removed each one of those in order to do the installation. Unfortunately, and this was something that we were not completely, let's be honest, we didn't know what we were doing when we started. And so we thought, well, we can take the panels down and we can replace them, and that'll be that. We'll just put them back up after we fix the insulation. And unfortunately, the metal that our bus used is this very thick sheet metal.
Yeah.
It just bent all out of shape as we pulled them down. They were up in a very precise fashion, and as we were pulling them down, they essentially were deformed. The entire process of pulling them down largely destroyed the panels, and so we ended up replacing the panels with wood paneling. So what you see above our heads, and I know I think it's hard to see on the video right now, but that is actually a very thin, I think it's something like 3/8 inch or something.
Something like that, yeah.
Paneling that we got from Home Depot, and that's how we replaced the ceiling panels after putting in the insulation.
Yeah.
Do you think I can add metal trusses atop of the bus? A spray can foam then. Metal trusses atop of the bus. Imagine you mean above, meaning on top of the bus, above the ceiling. Is that what you mean by a top of the bus? You could definitely insulate the outside. I don't think that's too difficult. It would be difficult for me to do it and have it look good, but if you can form the foam on the outside, it could be done, definitely. Okay, yes, on the outside. Yeah, and I think if I've seen and I've heard stories about people using bed liner material to do the roof. In other words,
and there is a paint additive, I think it's a paint additive and a paint that is supposed to be an insulating or like heat reflective paint, and so you can use that on top as well.
Yeah, and we do have a few coats, a very thick few coats of paint, which is actually, ours is latex.
Yeah. It's
just a sort of a regular latex paint, but we spread it on pretty thickly, and it made a huge difference. So adding to the outside is definitely a good idea, and I would definitely do more of it than less of it. Especially if you can
more
make it...
More insulation is better.
Yeah, more insulation is better than less insulation.
Yeah.
And if you can make it look good doing it on the outside, more power to you. I really think that's a winning strategy, in my opinion. We have, if you're looking for really good advice, or not really advice, I would say, but a sort of a point-by-point walkthrough on a bus conversion, I think that you might want to look at some of the channels that are out there. Unfortunately, we didn't do a walkthrough of our build.
We did not.
And the reason for that was we didn't really know what we were doing.
Yeah, one, we didn't know what we were doing, and it was hot, and we didn't have the right kind of camera equipment and all of that kind of stuff, and so...
Yeah, we were not set up properly to do a proper, full-on, sort of step-by-step, how do you build a schoolie? And what that means is that we don't have this catalog of videos to look through, but if you're looking for one, I would highly recommend that you look at Ian Robinson's channel on YouTube, and it's not only is the information good, and he does a great job of sort of showing you, of separating the projects, separating the bits of the conversion step by step. But the videos are very nice in terms of production value, and this is someone who knows what they're doing, has great attention to detail in pretty much everything that they do, including the editing work of their videos. So if you have not run into their channel yet, I would definitely take a look. I think that I'm not sure where they're based.
No
I don't
idea.
know.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the East Coast or the West Coast or somewhere in between, but they are definitely a channel worth following. I think one of the last videos I watched from there was this one, where they show how they installed their shower drain and the entire apparatus. I don't know what it's called, where the hot and cold water meet, and you mix them together to get your proper temperature. Definitely check out Ian Robinson's. They have already done their installation, I believe, at this point in their build. So their videos might be a really good place to start.
And then there is also Schooly.net, which is a great resource for conversions. And it's just a massive forum filled with people that have done similar things and all of the different strategies that they used and different things that people have tried that may have failed or may have worked. So Schooly.net is another really good, big conversion resource to check out.
Yeah, Schooly.net was probably our primary resource when we were building ours for the first time. Yeah, they just all the typical questions that you might have, such as what materials to use and or cost questions, whether or not certain things are worth the cost or not. Usually, if we searched for it on Schooly.net, we would find
someone who has done something similar.
Yeah,
usually.
we wouldn't necessarily find the answer. But we would usually find somebody with the same questions and their attempts at solving the same problems.
Yeah. All right. Ooh, let's see. We got a question about wiring. So, what surprises did we encounter with wiring, and what will we do better? I actually don't really think we encountered any surprises with the wiring.
No, I mean, no, not surprises. Well, we definitely cut a wire here and there that we shouldn't have.
Oh, we did, yeah. For the wires that came with the bus, like, we don't have the interior lights, like, up at the front, like those. We cut the wire somewhere. So I guess, yeah, that would be it, but
yeah, so
the wiring that we did, I think everything's pretty much turned out pretty well.
Yeah,
we needed more outlets. We still need more outlets.
We still need more outlets.
Not
Yeah,
enough outlets.
we did not plan the outlets. You need an outlet strategy, folks. We did not have a proper outlet placement strategy. However, the funny story, we found out about that we had cut some wires because we took the bus in to have the hitch attached. And in order to attach the hitch, they of course needed to connect the wiring harness to the brake lights. And as the guy was working on that, he found that our running lights
on the outside
did not work, and so he started trying to figure out why they did not work. And so it turns out that we basically cut a wire somewhere and cut the circuit for the running lights and the internal lights, which we had attempted to preserve so that we could have just lights running off the battery of the bus, and we cut those. So, and we didn't find out until after we had put in all the insulation and the ceiling panels and all that stuff. So wouldn't say it was a surprise. It was a surprise,
but it was annoying to fix.
It was annoying to fix. We have fixed some of it, but it was really carelessness. We did not look at the existing wiring and understand where each of those wires were going and what their purpose was before we started removing things And so, if we were to do it again, I would definitely try to map out, draw a schematic of some sort of the existing wiring before adding our own wiring.
Yeah. So, all right, the channel. I'm gonna assume it's something like Dizzle Freak.
Dizzle Freak?
Dizzle Frick, right here.
Okay.
It's another school bus conversion channel, so that's super cool. We're gonna have to check them out.
Okay, why don't you look at it?
Fabulous.
Yeah. Good. So, in our current setup, right? So we're almost done with our rebuild, right? So for those that don't know, this is the second time that we have worked to convert the bus, right? So this is our second, essentially our second conversion, and this time what we've done is we've opened up the space in a different way. We have attempted to do do sort of an open concept with the bus.
As open as we can get.
As open as we can get it.
Yeah.
And we can already see the benefits of it,
yeah.
of having a more open bus. So where Katie and I are standing, as we said before, there used to be a wall here, and we had our toilet right behind this. They can't see my hand, but right behind my head there would have been a wall, and our toilet was there, and that was it wasn't an efficient use of space, and so we've changed that out.
Yeah.
But you know what? Eric O mentioned a channel, and we're looking at the channel right now. This is Diesel Freak. Diesel Freak.
Oh, that makes so much sense. Right. Oh, okay, yeah.
And so he does have some conversion videos here. Bus to RV conversion, engine compartment doors.
20-some odd videos on his conversion.
Yeah, and it looks like he covered his windows.
Oh.
And this is we haven't looked through this channel, so it's hard for us to comment on it, but definitely looks like this is a project, a real sort of change everything around type of project.
Oh yeah.
So
we'll be checking that out.
So that is Diesel Freak. I will go ahead and subscribe to them right now, and I'm not logged in. Oh no.
Oh, well, you have to do that.
Yeah, we'll do that. We won't log in on the screen right now.
Yeah.
But what we'll do is we'll definitely go back to Diesel Freak and add that channel to our library of subscribes.
Alright, so let's see. Allie asked, what are some things that seemed like a good idea when you plan them later, or when you plan them but later on turned out not so good after execution? Oh, there was a lot of stuff that seemed like a great idea and was not. I think one would be the sofa. We used to have a sofa all right here in the living room area, and we tore that whole thing out and built a dinette instead, which was a way better use of space. Because neither of us had anywhere to work, and we had nowhere to eat, and it was just not a smart planning. So the sofa was not a good idea. Dinette definitely more important. And the first rendition of the bed was fabulous on paper and terrible in real life. So I think those were kind of like the two big ones. And the composting toilet. That was just that was a situation. So,
yeah, I think the composting toilet was the biggest fail.
The biggest one, yeah.
The composting toilet was so if you watch enough channels for RV conversions and off the grid living and all that, a lot of people will recommend a composting toilet.
Specifically the Nature's Head. That's the one that comes up a lot.
Right. So the Nature's Head is the premier.
Well, no, it's not the premier, but it is the cheapest one. Because there's like $3,000 composting toilets.
There is, but it's not cheap.
No.
It's like $900
for the Nature's Head.
For the Nature's Head composting toilet, and Katie really wanted us to get
So
a
bad.
Nature's Head composting toilet,
Yeah.
and my
I'm still
attitude.
pretty convinced that it would have worked if we had gotten a Nature's Head.
I'm sure that probably it would have worked, but my attitude was we spent $3,000 buying the bus.
Yeah.
I don't want to spend another $1,000 on just the toilet.
Toilets are important.
Toilets are important, but the Nature's Head is very expensive. It's $900 for, and yes, there are more expensive ones. I don't know why they are more expensive. I don't know even why the Nature's Head is so expensive, given that it's essentially a plastic box with a crank on it.
Yeah.
Right?
And it,
But
it separates everything, and it's got a little fan, and
yeah, it's got a
Yeah.
it's got like a 50-cent electric fan to help vent the stuff out. It literally runs on like 3 volts of electricity, of DC volts, and to make a long story short, I made my own composting toilet,
and it failed.
and it failed.
So bad.
There was no saving. So the goal of the composting toilet, right, is that you have to keep the solids from the liquids. You have to keep those separated, right?
It's gonna get real gross.
Yeah, that's
coming up here.
And so the solids and so once you accomplish the separation of solids and liquids, the solids can't just sit there. They need to be mixed with something that'll help to dry it out even further, which you could use either peat moss or
Coconut core is a big
core.
one. Some people use sawdust, but I saw a lot of stuff recommending against using sawdust.
Right. The problem with sawdust is that sawdust will sort of cake together with any kind of moisture.
Yeah.
Anybody with a table saw should know what I'm talking about.
And I've used composting toilets on the Appalachian Trail that have sawdust, and it's just mountains of disgustingness. So I was not keen to use sawdust for that.
So, so ultimately, and you know what? Let me see if I can bring up a picture of the Nature's Head. If we can look this up and we can show you exactly what the Nature's Head composting toilet looks like, and we'll put a link down at the bottom in the description by the end of the show, just in case you want to see it.
Yeah.
But this is the
actually, there was
this. Oh yeah, that should have gone up to that one. Or I'm sorry. But this is what's considered sort of the one to have, right? For those of you that are not familiar with the design, this is the Nature's Head composting toilet, and it has this front box here, and I'm not sure if that comes across in the okay, but the picture of the toilet there is a bottle in the very front, which is where the urine is kept separate, and so you would empty out the urine, and then the back of it is where the solids go to, and those solids it's got a crank on the side which helps to mix the whatever you're using, peat moss or coconut core, with your number twos. And so this thing is, again, it's a plastic box with a plastic bottle, is $900, and you will find, so on this website they actually have the Gone with the Winds,
which is where we first heard about it.
right, which is how we knew
God.
about it, and so many people out there on so many projects use it, and it's great, I think. But
Yeah.
it definitely seems like $900 for a toilet is a little bit high,
Right.
especially when for a little bit more you could get another bus. I mean, for the same amount of money, we could actually just have another bus to go into the bathroom in. But anyways, my solution, my DIY composting toilet did not smell as fresh as supposedly Nature's had smells. Had trouble mixing the stuff. It just didn't work. So in terms of
it was bad.
In terms of regrets, composting toilet.
It's definitely not good after execution.
No, if that composting toilet drops down to like $500,
maybe
I'd be willing to like. All right, but at $1,000 for a toilet, I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
So.
All right, so let's see. How do you find a place to park your bus? Is it a struggle to find a home for your bus? No, not really. We've got some family with land, so if we're in the Central Florida area, we hang out on their property because they're totally cool with that. And if we're traveling, there's BLM land if you're doing short-term stuff or you want to do totally off the grid, and then different RV parks accept school buses, so KOAs have always accepted us, and it hasn't been an issue. There are a lot of RV parks that do monthly, so you can sort of rent a site, and then I've noticed an increasing amount of places that do like tiny home parks specifically, so they usually have sites and they're geared specifically for conversions and tiny homes and all of that. I don't think they're very prolific yet, but I've seen a few of them kind of pop all over the place, so definitely an option, but that's how we find a place to park our bus. And so far, we haven't really had any issues with it.
Yeah, and I mean, overnight, if we're traveling, we can, you know, there's truck stops everywhere, and we fit right in with the trucks.
Yeah.
We will usually, we can park either with the cars, or with the RVs, or with the trucks.
Yeah.
Like we're sort of accepted in any one of those.
Yeah. And if we're with the trucks, we can run our generator, and we don't have to worry about being loud since we're competing with loud trucks already. So we generally go with the semis.
Yeah.
If we're hanging out in a truck stop for whatever reason.
Yeah, and hanging out with the semis it's not that bad.
No, it's fine. They're all super friendly so far.
Yeah, and you don't have the problem of little kids running around in the parking lot, where when you're parked, say at the Loves or anything like that, and you're moving around a big bus, and you have all of these people coming in and out of the convenience store. Yeah.
That really freaks our dog out. So
yeah, and so I was trying to bring up the website for BLM. So BLM, for those of you that may not be familiar, is the Bureau of Land Management, and BLM lands are largely available across the country. They are, but primarily in the West. There's very little on the East Coast, east of the Mississippi. There's not a lot of places like BLM to park, and so it's more of a struggle to find free land to park in on the East Coast and on the east of the Mississippi. It's much easier if you're in, you know, Arizona, Utah, California, Colorado, Nevada, New Mexico. You can go boondocking in the middle of nowhere, and
I think we have too many tabs.
Sure, right, enjoy it. Are we having some issues?
Yeah, we're having some issues.
Okay, I'm trying to close some of these. So right now, we are having some apparently some data issues here. Yeah. And let's see if we can clear this up.
Technical difficulties.
Yeah. So sorry guys if you're on the chat right now and it's slowed down a bit. We will try to fix this. Now I'm looking also at a question here from Maggie Bear. Is that right?
Yes.
Maggie Bear. I want to build a schoolie. How did you build your walls so to curve along the roof? Not easily.
Yeah, a lot of trial and error for us.
Yeah, the issue with the walls is, okay, you don't need the seam where the wall meets the ceiling doesn't need to be perfect. Okay, so let's get that first of all. You can, the more precise you are, the better, right? Yeah. So if you can get it to the point where you can barely see the seam, perfect. You are a genius and, you know, the greatest handyman I have ever met. I am not that guy. And in fact, some of our walls along the curve had anywhere between 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 an inch of gaps. And we covered those gaps with caulking. So what we did was we caulked along the seam, covered it. If the gap, usually you don't want to caulk a gap that is greater than 1/4 of an inch. But you know, we had some, and so we ended up using just doing layers. So doing one layer of caulking, letting that dry and cure, and then putting another one in order to close a 1/2 inch gap to a 1/4 inch gap to a, you know, full to the ceiling. So if when it comes to creating that curvature along the wall, it essentially comes down to creating a template.
Yeah. Using either construction paper or newsprint paper, cardboard, which is kind of hard to work with, but could be done.
Yeah. And I think the best time to do the template is when if you pull down the ceiling panels, and you can put a long enough piece of paper against one of the ribs in the ceiling and just trace the rib, and then you can then use that as a template to cut your plywood or whatever it is that you're trying to shape to the shape of the roof, to the shape of the ceiling. And so
a little bit of trial and error.
It's trial and error.
Yep.
There is we have a handyman, friend of the family, who repeatedly we came to him. Okay, so how do you do this again? Because we just could not get it. And the truth is that it's not a perfect thing. It's one of those things where it takes a little bit of artistry, I think, to a little bit of talent to get it right, and ultimately, just remember that all you got to do is get the curve close enough. It doesn't have to be perfect. You just got to get it close enough so that the gap can be filled.
Yeah.
And you could we use caulking, but you could use Bondo. You could use any kind. I would stay away from plaster in particular.
Yeah, you don't want to use plaster or wood filler or anything like that. Anything that gets really hard, because it will crack as soon as you start moving.
Everything that we filled in with
silicone. With what we've been using.
Right. We've been using a silicone caulk, but everything we filled in with wood filler ended up cracking. Yeah, everything cracked as soon as we went out 100 miles on the road and hitting the bumps and everything. All of that, it was just brittle.
Yeah.
Ultimately.
Too much so. All right, let's see. I think we lagged behind for a little bit. We just got like a whole flood of little questions. So so we're gonna catch up real quick. Let's see. Would we do a DIY composting toilet? No, because we did one, and it bombed.
Right.
It was just gross.
Yeah. Maybe we'll try it again some other day before I spend $1,000 on the Nature's Head.
No, I don't. I don't think I would try it again.
But at this point, no.
Yeah, we did not have a fan on ours. Did we have a crank?
Nope, no crank. We had a stick.
We had a stick. So gross. Maybe that makes all the world of difference. I don't really know, but
crank would have helped.
Yeah. Let's see. Do we think it's worth the price difference to do a diesel versus gas? Ours came with diesel, so we didn't have the choice of going with a gas bus over a diesel bus, and I think I would go diesel just because diesel engines tend to be a little hardier.
There's a lot of stuff out. If you're buying, there's a lot of forums where people have debated this question, and schoolies.net is one. The Reddit subreddit r schoolies is another. And so the problem with here's the difference, right? Gas engines are more familiar with most mechanics.
That's true. Yeah.
You'll probably have an easier chance finding someone willing to work on it, and you'll probably be able to find parts and so forth easier. However, if you're buying a 20-year-old vehicle, if you're buying a school bus that has been on the road
With
at
really
least
high mileage.
5 days a week, with, like ours, 300,000 miles on it, I would not trust a gas engine of any kind.
Yeah, I'd want diesel. Definitely.
Yeah. A diesel engine of this size, of like ours, we have a 444E Navistar engine. Our engine, the what pretty much everybody has said to me is, oh, it's just broken in, right? And basically the life expectancy of most large diesel engines is somewhere around 500 to 600,000 miles.
Oh, really? I didn't know it was that big.
Yeah. It's if well maintained and kept up and so forth, you can really get 500 to 600,000 miles off of it. And most of the problems that would happen would have shown up prior to hitting 300,000. So if you get to the part where the bus runs and you have 300,000 miles, there's a good chance that anything major that would have broken in that engine has already broken, has already been fixed, or it has never had to been fixed. In other words, at that point, it's sort of a safe bet. So I expect that our diesel engine will last at least another 200,000 miles with good maintenance and so forth.
And also, where we are, there is not a huge difference in the price of diesel versus gas. So
in terms of gas mileage, in terms of actual fuel costs?
Yeah, the actual fuel cost is not a huge difference. So that was not a big concern for us, or it hasn't had to have been a big concern.
Yeah, I would definitely bank on diesel.
Yeah, I would go diesel, definitely.
Yeah, if you're planning to have the bus on the road often and so forth, I would say diesel.
Yeah. All right, let's see. Are there any resources you can use to find parks? If we're talking about RV parks, there is a few different ones. You could do I think AAA has got a listing of them. Good Sam has got a massive directory of parks. If you stop at the tourist centers for different states, they usually have these big brochures full of different parks and stuff that are in different areas of the state. And then Google is always super, super useful. So that's usually how we find all of our stuff. Google first, and then Good Sam is usually where we go second. And if it's somewhere totally new, then we'll check out tourist areas and see.
I mean, if we have a particular destination in mind, we will do a Google Maps search and just put in
center around where we want to go.
Yeah, we just look up wherever we're going, go there on the map, and then type in RV park and see what comes up.
Yeah.
That's usually our very first step. If we don't find anything there, because sometimes some of the RV parks are there, but they don't present themselves as RV parks.
Yep. Or if they're smaller, and it's like a couple that owns it, or like one guy or one lady or something like that, and it's not part of a larger chain of RV parks, and they don't have a very big web presence.
Yeah, they might get skipped over by Google.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these RV parks, the small ones just do not have websites.
Yeah.
Or if they have websites, they're these are 1995 websites with like blinking lights and like marquee scrolls running around. I mean, it's a little it leaves you a little wanting. But yeah, Google Maps, Good Sam, their website has a great directory. We like KOAs. We've had experiences with KOAs, so we tend to
and they never
look
turn buses away, so that's good.
Yeah, we've never been turned away from a KOA. And I'm thinking of what's the other big chain? Jellystone.
Was it the one with Yogi Bear as part of their mascot?
Bear, yeah.
Oh, I don't know what it's called.
So they have their own network of places. Also, but what I was going to say earlier is not all the RV parks will use the term RV park. Some of them double as mobile home parks and so forth. So
true. Although those you have to be careful of sometimes.
Yeah. Definitely, RV park, the actual RV parks or RV resorts. Look for those. and you could usually find one almost everywhere. But if we're spending just one night, if we're driving across country and we're going overnight, I mean,
we generally just stop at a truck stop and turn the generator on.
Yeah, I mean, truck stops are really our primary stopping point. Walmart's
are dicey.
Yeah,
some of them let you park
hit or
overnight,
miss.
some don't.
Yeah, it's very hit or miss. We found we've been told to get out. We've been told to leave Walmart parking lots. We've parked at Walmart parking lots where we were not intending to stay, and we've had security come up to us and ask us whether or not we were intending to stay, and you know, specifically to let us know that we cannot stay.
Yeah, and so, generally, if you're on the coast, coastal towns usually have some kind of city ordinance that prevents overnight parking in parking lots, so that's something to be mindful of, and it's really, really common in coastal towns, especially in Florida and along the Gulf Coast. You run into that a lot, so, you know, if you want to, like, urban camp, that's just something you gotta watch out for.
Yeah, there's
urban camping, is that what you call it?
Stealth
camping.
So,
that's it,
So stealth camping is when you park the bus or the van, whatever you were using, and you just act like you're just a regular parked car.
Yeah. Unfortunately, buses are so huge, it's kind of hard.
It's, you're not going to convince anyone that your converted school bus is just randomly parked in some residential street.
Yeah, that's true.
That works better. You can do that
with van conversions, though.
Yeah, you can do that with van conversions. You can even do that with box truck conversions.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
But a school bus is not really going to get away with it. And neither is an RV, by the way.
Yeah, also true.
Yeah. Terry Horn, welcome. Good to see you again here on the Asphalt Nomads live show.
Yeah. Let's see.
You know, at this point, it's a good time to remind everyone, if you do have a channel that you want us to look at, we'll be glad to share your project with everybody on here. So what else do we have in the chat here?
Let's see, have we done any underneath storage? No, we have not. We haven't really done anything under the bus, really, except for plumbing. And yeah, I'd like to, but we haven't.
Yeah, undercarriage storage would be nice, and we want to add some. We've debated what kind of storage, where would it go, and how big and what material. We've seen there are videos of people who've done their own storage, people who have, you know, nice welders and the ability to
or they use
work with metal really well.
I can't think of what it's like. It's a railing that you bolt in.
Yeah,
use that for the frame.
The strut, the C-channel struts type of and so
I've seen some of that.
Yeah, the easiest way to do it is basically to cut the skirt of the bus to fit an undercarriage storage box, which they sell for, you know, large semi trucks. They sell these boxes already made, and you can just pop one in if you have the right welding or the C struts to work with it. You could definitely do it. We haven't done it. Many of the boxes are over $1,000 per box. Some of them go down to $300 or so forth. But you have to be very careful with the thickness of the material and whether or not it'll bend out of shape as you are installing the box, or if you're placing too many heavy things under
especially with sort of like the up down.
Right. Everything that happens in the bus, everything that you construct in the bus, you have to keep in mind the bounce.
Yeah.
School buses are bouncy, and when you hit a bump, there's a you know, even though it's a heavy vehicle, you will feel this bounce.
Yeah. And school buses are not designed for a smooth, comfortable ride, so it can get quite bouncy.
Exactly.
So. Let's see. Was the insurance a hassle? Yes and no. It was. We started the whole process, and we didn't have a whole lot of luck finding places that would do insurance for the bus. And we've done a whole video on just insurance tag and title, and so we'll have that linked below, you know, when we're done with the whole live stream. But for us in Florida, we ended up going with National General. They were the only one of the major carriers that would accept school bus conversions, and they wanted a completed project, so they wouldn't do an in-progress conversion. So once we got everything mostly done, or like done enough for photos, we sent in photographs for everything, and that's how we got insurance. And for Florida, it's I think PIP and liability is all we have, but they wouldn't actually insure the physical stuff of the bus. So yeah.
So insurance, National General is the easy answer. They're the only ones that would insure us here in Florida.
Yeah, we've heard of some people that have got Progressive or Allstate, but in Florida they would, or at least for us, they wouldn't insure it.
And it also depends on how you have the conversion listed. So some people have it listed as an agricultural vehicle, or they'll have it listed as a work vehicle or something like that. We are listed as a motorhome. And that makes a big difference in terms of insurance. If you have it listed as a work vehicle, like an agricultural vehicle, then you could definitely get a different type of insurance for that kind of, the same way you would insure a tractor or something like that. But each one of those things comes with different stipulations, right? And different expectations. But like I said, the easy answer for us was National General. The harder answer there is whether or not you're okay with just personal injury and property liability, because
there was we had someone mention doing agreed upon value insurance, which I looked into, and it looks like it's mostly for antiques and like specialty cars and really, really expensive cars, and all of that kind of stuff that's got really heavy modifications. I never actually attempted to call any of them, so that could be an option, but I couldn't say for sure.
Yeah,
could be something.
And so my point is basically, if you want full coverage insurance,
I don't think that's going to happen.
You may not get that. You might not get any kind of full coverage with your bus, simply because it's not so much whether or not they're afraid for your safety inside the bus, is that there's really no way to quantify the value of the vehicle. And that's why you may be able to do an agreed upon value, but that it's not
that's
a typical
also why
thing.
You may not be able to do an agreed upon value.
Your typical consumer insurance company, it's just easier for them to say no to that kind of thing. If we were to get into a massive accident, it would be very easy for them to figure out what damage we caused to somebody else. It would be very hard for them to figure out what damage was caused to us. Yeah. And so that's the situation.
So was it a hassle? Yes and no.
How difficult was plumbing? Moving on to Cassidy's question. Plumbing is easy. Yeah. Plumbing is very easy. We did it with PEX.
We did interior with PEX, and then the drainage is all with PVC pipe.
Right. And very easy, basically with PVC, make sure you're not running, PVC is not meant for hot water. So you can't run the PVC out of a water heater or anything like that. PVC is great for everything else, but PVC can be brittle, it can break, and PVC, but it's also easy to work with, and it's accessible, and you just need to cement the joints together. Very easy to work with. PEX takes a little bit more work in terms of the tools required. You need a pinching or a clamping tool. And actually, honey, you want to get that right there?
Oh yeah, I could do that.
And so with the PEX, we actually found the PEX ultimately to be easy to work with, to run the lines inside the bus. Here we have a PEX tool.
Yeah, this is one type of it. There are two different kinds. One's got a little pinch crimp, and it's a slightly different thing, but it just basically crimps everything down on the pipe. And
yeah, this is meant for a ring type connection where you essentially insert the ring, and it crimps the ring directly onto the pipe. There is another, which is the pinch
Yeah.
ring, which has a small bit, and it uses a different tool. The tool can be expensive, especially if you're using the copper rings to work with the pegs, but it's easy. If you've ever worked with Legos or Connects, you can do you can do plumbing.
Yeah.
Their plumbing is just putting the things together, make sure nothing leaks, and if something leaks, you do it all over again and you learn from your mistakes. Nothing to be afraid of when it comes to plumbing, and you do not need a professional. You don't need a professional plumber. There's no inspection that you have to meet or anything like that that would ask for very specific, work to be done in a specific way.
Yeah. So you need to figure drainage out, and you want to use helio showers. I don't know what a helio shower is. Do you?
Where is it?
Right up here. Just use helio showers with the shower and the sink. You can just let the water drain out. You do need to actually have somewhere to put the water. In most cases, it is illegal to dump just randomly. Some places are more flexible on gray water, but it depends on where you're at. So that is something that you will have to factor into. And I'm not sure what a helio shower is right off the bat. Do you know?
No, I don't know what a helio shower is.
We'll have to look into it.
Give us some more information on that.
Let's see. What was the toughest part of the conversion for you two, and why?
Toughest part of the conversion? Well, our biggest obstacle is weather. Whenever it's raining or when it's extremely hot, because we're working in Florida. So
that was a hard part of it, yeah.
Every day you can count on rain, and it's not a gentle rain.
Yeah.
This is Florida monsoon season. Like this is like lightning, thunder, and wind. And if you haven't, so that means you can't leave tools outside.
Can't leave wood outside.
Yeah,
no materials can stay out.
If you plan on painting, you have to, you have to wait until
really time it well, because it'll make the paint run if it's too wet.
The bus is wet in the morning because the dew that has settled on it from the early morning. So if you're painting, for example, you have to dry the bus, then you have to start painting. You have to stop painting before it starts raining, but you have to stop painting early enough to allow whatever sunshine you have to dry the paint before the afternoon showers hit.
Yeah. And so doing the conversion in the middle of the summer was not smart, and definitely made things more difficult than they needed to be. Other than that, for me, anything using the angle grinder. I hate the angle grinder with a fiery, burning passion. So it's insta rage if I have to use an angle grinder. So taking the seats out was terrible, but yeah, it's pretty much that.
I wouldn't say I would say that. So, given the weather concerns, right? What the problem is then planning, is being able to stay to an actual plan of if you think you're going to be done in 6 months, right, or in 4 or 5 months, or whatever your duration of your project, or whatever you think it will be, if you're doing this outside, if you're doing the bus conversion in not in an enclosed space, you have to take into account the weather, because for instance, 2 o'clock showers hit and it's going to rain between 2 o'clock and 5 p.m. and suddenly I only have 4 or 5 hours before that to work on the bus. It takes half an hour to get all the tools and everything ready, and you got to pick them up before it starts raining, so you got to work that into the plan of how much time you need to set up and how much time you need to stow everything away before it starts raining on you. And we lost tools. We lost tape measures that got left out in the rain, and suddenly they were just completely rusted.
Yeah.
We lost.
Or we had days where we'd be painting and we had checked the weather. It wasn't supposed to rain until mid-afternoon. We stopped plenty early, and then the showers rolled in early anyway, and it made the paint run down the side of the bus, and so we had to redo everything. That happened a couple of times, so yeah, that was bad.
Yeah.
So let's see. Would you use this bus platform again if you did it over again, or would you go a different vehicle direction? Yeah, I'd go bus again.
Yeah.
I think I'd probably go flat-fronted bus if I had it to do like all over again.
Yeah,
I'd want a flat-fronted bus.
I would say that a flat front bus, or I wouldn't mind going with a transit bus.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, transit bus would be pretty cool.
Simply because you have the flat front, and the engine is usually in the back.
With flat fronts, yes.
Yeah, and you have more headroom.
Usually,
so
yeah,
if I were to change platform to another type of bus, I would probably go with a transit bus. But if all I had was a school bus, I'd be perfectly fine with it. And I think this one, at 35 feet long, this is a 65 passenger bus. This is really perfect for us.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want it to be longer.
No, not really.
And the ceiling height, the headroom is not really an issue.
Yeah.
It'd be nice if it was taller, but I fit.
Yeah.
I'm 5'10", 5'11", something like that. I fit just fine. So I would definitely keep this bus. Yeah.
Yep. Let's see, what's our average fuel mileage? I think we're right at about like 11, aren't we?
No, more than that. We're anywhere between 12 and 14.
Oh, okay. That's pretty good.
It's better than the stated average for, according to the county when we bought it, which was 7 miles per gallon.
Yeah, we definitely do way better than
We
that.
definitely do better than the stated, and that's one, to the credit of the people who maintain this bus, and two, because we're not carrying 65 passengers.
Yeah. We have a lot of stuff in here, but as far as weight goes, we are actually fairly light. So.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah, we're not. A school bus carries a lot more weight.
Yeah.
With the number of kids that it carries, and the seats, which are all metal frames and all that. So yeah, we're actually lighter than your typical school bus, and because of that, we get just slightly better gas mileage.
Yeah. So let's see. Does Home Depot rent that PEX tool? I have no idea if they rent PEX tools or not. This one we borrowed from a family friend who has got, well, I guess not even family friend, from a family member who does construction. So we borrowed the big tool from him. And then we bought the pinch one, which I think was like $20 or $30. So you'd have to call the Home Depot tool rental area and see if they do, because I think different ones have different stuff. So
yeah,
I'm not positive.
This type of tool, the copper ring pinch, or no, what's it called? Crimp. the copper ring crimp tool. We've seen them for $80 to $120. There's a range there, but it's somewhere around the $100. The pinch tool for the PEX, we bought ours for $20 on Amazon, and it works great. It works fine. They are different. We have reason for why we use one over the other in different situations, but other than, I mean, it really, I think it comes down to personal preference ultimately.
Yeah, the copper rings are, it's a slightly better seal. They tend to be stronger. They've got a little bit more wiggle room for where you're placing them. The pinch rings can be a little bit more temperamental with where they go. So yeah, we do prefer the copper rings if we've got access to the tool. So
yeah, the only other big difference that I would say is when you're looking at this tool. Let me see if I can get a full image of the tool right there. Okay, so this is a very big tool. All right.
It's hard to get in small spaces.
Yeah, but actually, this is sort of the problem with the tool, right? To get it completely open, to get it across into the pipe, and then clamp it in, you need to be able to extend this distance to get everything in there. And that's difficult when you're working under the kitchen cabinet, under the sink, if you're trying to get behind a panel, underneath the shower basin or anything like that. So even though the copper rings are better, in my opinion, the tool, that, at least this tool, makes their use limited.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Except for the original stretch of PEX piping that we put in.
Let's see. We're doing a conversion and can't decide on what to do with the ceiling. Rip out and replace versus paint over, preserving vertical space versus enough insulation for North American winters. Any thoughts?
Good luck.
I'd say if you are... Personally, I would rip out the old insulation and replace it. Ours was disgusting. It had stuff living in it. It was falling apart. It was super gross. So I would, even with how much of a hassle it was, I would still replace the insulation, and I would do enough insulation for the winters, because, on the other side of it, the summers is a really big deal, and so you need good insulation for both summer and winter. And we have gone from really, really hot winters in both Florida, or not hot winters, hot summers in both Florida and Texas, to really cold winters in Texas. And in both cases, we really wished that we had better insulation.
Scott, I hope you're still there. Scott, if you could tell us where, if you have the bus already, where are you getting the bus?
But we're down in a hot environment. We had really bad insulation.
Right, and the environment that we are in. The environment that we are in has a tendency to draw pests, bugs. We have things living there were things living in our bus. There were things living in the insulation, and we knew that because it's a Florida bus
that sat outside for months.
That sat in a wild field practically for months before we bought it. And so we knew we needed to get rid of the insulation because we needed to clean it out and replace it. If you don't think you need to, I would say you're better off probably leaving the insulation in, leaving the ceiling panels in. If you don't want to do that, then, and if you can so this is the other question, right? Okay, how much money are you willing to invest in the insulation? If money is not an object, I would say take down the ceiling panels and use a foam, a proper sort of foam insulation that spray-ons, right? So the type, you'd have to wear the
big suit, the big machine,
right? The chemical suit to protect yourself from it, and you just spray away with a spray gun. And you will get this even, perfect, full coverage insulation. And then, again, if money's not an object, you can decide what you want to do with the ceiling panels, right? Do you want to put in new metal? If you did a careful job of removing the old ones, you can replace them, put those back in. If money's not an object, then I would say go with spray-on foam. Expanding foam, not the canned stuff. I would go with the full-on spray gun type material. But if money is an object, you cannot do insulation on the cheap. And I would stress that the insulation that's already on there, chances are, is still better than what you might put in a very cheap fashion. So keep that in mind. In other words, we needed to get rid of ours because we knew that there was stuff living in it. There was the only way to safeguard it. But ultimately the insulation work that we have is not better than what was there before.
You think? It's
cleaner.
It's a lot cleaner, yeah. That's true.
But it's not necessarily better. So, Cassidy says a Helio shower is basically a sturdy plastic bag which has a little pedal that you step on that makes the water under pressure, then it just comes out of the hose.
Oh, that's cool. I've seen those, yeah, like little camping showers.
Yeah, the camping showers.
Actually, we have one.
We do have one.
Mm-hmm.
We never used it.
No, we did not.
It's in the back somewhere. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's that you could definitely do that.
Yeah.
I don't see a problem with. You just have to refill the bag. It's a perfectly good solution to if you don't want to run a pipe and deal with the once again what you're willing to do, how much you're willing to spend, and what you're willing to put up with in terms of convenience or discomfort. All of those things are personal decisions. We bought the camping shower with the intention of, well, we'll use this for now.
Yeah.
But we ended up at an RV park for an extended period of time where we had available showers.
Yeah.
And it was just easier to use the RV park showers. So we never actually used those showers. And yeah, so but at the same time it wasn't that hard to hook up an actual shower head to a pipe and put in a drain and so forth. That wasn't really difficult. So you know, but yeah, a camp shower or a Helio shower, as you say, Helio, I imagine, because it's, if you use it outside, it would be, I don't know, heated by the sun, maybe. I don't know if there's a thing.
I don't know.
But yeah, I really that's not a problem at all. Definitely.
Yeah. So let's see. Does the bus have to be finished before an insurance company will accept your bus? For us, it did. We've heard of other people being able to get insurance while they're in progress. We didn't have that experience, so I'm not sure. For us, it had to be done, though. Yeah. It had to be done enough to, you know. Yeah.
And it, yeah, I mean, insurance companies, you're dealing with multiple insurance companies and different state laws.
Yeah, so there's a lot of variation with it depending on where you are.
Yeah.
Scroll down.
Oh, let me scroll down.
Oh.
Don't buy a bus from the Rust Belt.
That's true.
Don't.
That was actually a good thing about buying. We bought a bus from Florida, and so we never saw the roads because it's never an issue down here. But we did look at a lot of buses that were up north that had a lot of rust damage from the salt from the winter. So that is something to keep in mind, definitely.
So Scott's bus is from Oregon, he says, and but they're in New Hampshire. Scott's the one that was asking about the ceiling panels and removing. Oregon, I would say that if chances are, I mean, Oregon gets cold. I would say the chances are that you have very good insulation. If it all seems like it's in good shape, I would just leave it. I wouldn't create the extra work of removing
but New Hampshire is colder.
New Hampshire is colder.
So I would want more insulation, personally. I would. It's a mailbox. It gets pretty cold.
Yeah. Also, you can look into putting insulation, as we said earlier in the show today, putting outside insulation, adding layers of insulation to the outside of the bus, to the top of the roof. You could definitely try that.
Yeah. And see, I did see a question that we passed about alarms on the bus. We don't have an alarm system on the bus. I am not tremendously concerned about it getting stolen.
We have a dog.
We have a dog.
The dog is very aware of everything happening outside the bus. Right now he's staring at us, wondering why we're talking into the TV, essentially. He is, well, now he's sleeping.
Yeah. He's an anxious little dog. So.
Yeah. So we have a dog which works as our alarm system.
Yeah.
And he does great. And by the way, and the bus, I don't know if an alarm, what would be the usefulness of an alarm, right? If you're not there, to bring attention to somebody breaking into the bus.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how useful that is. Also, what are you placing the alarm on? right? Because
or a GPS tracking system in case it's stolen.
I wouldn't mind having a GPS on the bus.
That'd be cool. But yeah, we don't have any of that.
But we don't. Yeah, the thing with living on the bus is we have 10 windows, 20 plus 22, 2 doors.
Yeah.
We essentially have
Hatches.
22 windows, 2 roof hatches, 2 doors. If we were to put an alarm, where would we put it? How many alarm connections would we need to alarm the bus? And the thing is, it's not like vandals will be vandals, and you might have someone break into the bus just to vandalize it. I don't think anybody. I don't think too many people look at a school bus and say, "Ooh, there's something valuable in there." But security, I don't know. You have to find what you're comfortable with, and so security will always be an issue.
Yeah.
Like I said,
although I feel very safe in the bus, so.
I feel very safe in the bus, and we can always barricade the doors. It's just you have a lot of windows. You have a lot of ways to get in and out of the bus. It's not in terms of, it's not a bank vault.
Yeah.
This isn't the vehicle for you if you feel the need to always lock all of your doors and all of your windows and all that. The schooly life may not be the best place to live. I don't know.
Or we put an alarm in and then it'd be totally fine.
Yeah, but you have to alarm every single window.
That's totally good. And we've got windows that fall sometimes, so.
Yeah, our windows open on their own every now and then.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
That would be good. So would we consider changing our rear end gears to up the speed, especially since we're under a governor? Do we know our rear end ratio? Do we know our rear end ratio?
Nope.
No.
Do not know our rear end ratio, but we do have the governor and.
Yeah. Would we change it? No, I don't think I would personally. Would you?
Not well. First, there's the budget.
Yeah.
Reason, right? Right now.
But I don't mind going slow.
I don't mind going slow either. So our top speed is about 58, 59 miles per hour. Mm-hmm. We are guaranteed to not have speeding tickets.
That's true.
So we're okay with that. It's not like we have to get to places right away usually. So the speed is not an issue. Plus, we don't really want to go fast.
Yeah.
In a school bus. As far as I think that if it was a simple fix and an easy fix, maybe a 1-day sub $500 fix, I would be like, you know what? I'll put it on the list of things to do.
Yeah.
But if it's going to be a multiple day thing where we don't have the bus, or we have to put the bus in a garage situation or a mechanic's place, and they have to disassemble the rear end for days at a time, or parts are a problem, or if it's going to cost thousands of dollars to get the work done.
That seems extreme.
It may be extreme, but any one of those things would be a problem for us.
So for us, I don't think it's particularly important for us to be able to go more fast or faster than we are going. So I don't think, it's not on the list of priorities.
Yeah.
So let's see. Check in for a bus on eBay and Craigslist, and then check public surplus. Yeah. Also look at GovDeals. That is another good government auction site, and that's actually where we bought our bus.
Yeah. GovDeals is where we bought ours, and we don't have a relationship with GovDeals. This isn't we're not plugging them in, but unlike Craigslist and eBay, I felt very comfortable buying from GovDeals simply because all of their sellers are municipal governments or other government agencies. Mm-hmm. We were not buying from some guy who knows what he was using the school bus from for. We were buying directly from the fleets, the people that have their fleets, and the school bus districts and so forth. And you bid just like on eBay, and you know, we happened to win our, like, we were on the third or fourth auction when we finally won one. So I would look into Gov Deals and just click on buses. There's an actual category for buses, and you will see buses from all over the country there.
Yep.
What we have there?
So let's see. Wouldn't spray foam insulation seal moisture up against the metal roof, accelerating rust? And my biggest problem, what to replace the metal ceiling panels with? So for our ceiling panels, we replaced it with a really thin wood panel that was thin enough to begin the curve, and then we did slats along the side to cover the actual biggest part of the curve. For the rust, we did Tivik down on ours.
In terms of rust,
moisture barrier.
We did a moisture barrier, but the moisture barrier was mostly to protect our wooden ceiling.
Yeah, that's true.
So we have a Tivik sheets that are sandwiched between our insulation and our I'm not even sure how it's set up. The point is that the actual ceiling of the bus should be spray painted with an anti-rust paint. If you see that it's like it kind of looks like a rust color. It's like a deep burgundy paint. At least ours is painted like that, and that's actually a rust-proof paint. We did not find any rust anywhere in the ceiling. We had to scrape out ant colonies
really gross
and
insulation.
and insulation that was caked on.
It was moist insulation.
Yeah, but we did not find rust anywhere in the ceiling, and to avoid it, in case you do, I would just paint it with Rust-Oleum, and that should be good enough to protect it. You should not have water. You should not have sufficient water to cause any kind of problems like that. You may have condensation rather than leaks, but you might have leaks as well. But a ceiling rusting, we have not had that problem, and we have not seen any projects with ceilings. No, we've seen floors.
Yeah, a lot of floors
with rust problems, but we haven't seen any roofs with rust problems. So
yeah, that wouldn't be something I'd be tremendously concerned about. Yeah. Let's see. How do you like cooking on the bus? What are some of the pros and cons with your kitchen? I like it just fine. We've got a really small little stove, so we can't do really big pots of stuff, and we don't have an oven. Well, we've got a little toaster oven, which we just got, and that's actually good for baking. But before that, we couldn't do any baking, and I really like that. So that's kind of the biggest con, but otherwise, it's more or less the same. The tiny fridge is a pain, actually. The tiny fridge is a butt. So.
And we thought about upgrading to a regular house fridge.
I wish we had.
But, having a small fridge basically means that we're limited to the amount of food that we can refrigerate at any time. And sometimes that means that leftovers and things like that we have to sort of manage.
Yeah.
There is some food management.
Yeah.
And I think this is true for any tiny house situation. I don't think this is in any way particularly a bus thing.
No, I don't think so. Yeah, any small space is gonna have similar issues. Yeah.
But the good thing about this space is because we have so many windows, we can drop the windows, and so if we're cooking fish or doing anything fried or anything that has a very strong odor, it's not really a problem. Even though it's a confined space, it's not that big of a problem because you can usually air it out pretty easily.
That's true. Yeah.
So cooking on the bus, it's not bad. And so we have right now. So let's see if we're just gonna go through here and say hello there. Eddie Imperial, thank you for your questions and your participation in the chat. Very much appreciated. And we have, let's see. I like the idea of putting NRA stickers or Navy stickers or Marine Corps stickers on your vans or schoolies. I think that
make it look really scary.
Make it look really scary. Put some, skull and bones on there. But we are currently looking at a number of options for the near future in terms of what we do with the bus. We are finishing our current build, and we hope to have it fully done. Behind us, some of you might see the tile work for the bathroom, and so we will be finishing that in the next week or so. And we do have videos coming up that I think will should be interesting. We're going to hit on a couple of issues. One of the biggest questions we get often is the school bus safe in terms of is school bus compared to an RV safe? And so we have a video where we talk about what are the actual safety advantages of a school bus compared to an RV. And we have another we do plan a video on our storage solutions. And we should have a travel video from a Florida beach pretty soon, hopefully.
Be good. Good times.
So I want to thank everybody for joining us. We decided to keep the show today to a manageable hour and 24 minutes apparently. So we definitely appreciate all of you. If you have any last minute questions you want to drop in, go ahead and do so. And
then we'll check back in the chat too. So
we'll check back on the chat and see what we can work with, if we can help anybody out, or if anybody has any questions. We do have a video on the insurance questions. Please check that out. And we have another video discussing our regrets. For those of you wondering about what we think we did wrong, or what was the question? What we could have done better, or something. Check out our regrets video. We cover some of those there. And if this is your first time considering living in a schoolie, creating your own school bus conversion, check out our video on why you should not get a schoolie. That video,
it makes it sound super negative. It's not all that bad.
It's not supposed to be very negative, but it is a little bit.
There are things to keep in mind.
Right. It's meant to be educational, to think about the things that you may not be thinking about, if in case you or your 16-year-old daughter thinks that it's really cool to live in a school bus. Have them watch that video and see if they're still okay with dealing with some of the things we bring up in that video. And so, anyways, thank you all. Have a great Sunday.
Yes, thanks for popping in with us.
We'll try to do this again next week.
Yeah, sounds good.